Hi guys, this is Kunal Verma and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we'll be talking about the basics of Jupyter Notebook. But before that, I hope everyone has installed Jupyter Notebook in their system. And for those who are facing any doubts in their installation, please leave some comments and I'll be answering to them. In case who are joining just now, I'll be giving a link to my previous video so you can see and check out the installation part. So let's get started. So I'll give you a brief walkthrough about this Jupyter Notebook. So as you can see, we can save and checkpoint our notebook, because whenever we are working for such long durations, it might be possible that we might be stuck somewhere and we can revert back to the point where there were no errors. So checkpointing plays a very important role at that point of time. I'll be later showing you how you could present your notebook as a PDF so that you can present it in front of managers, stakeholders, and influential people who are there in your company. Okay. So as you can see, in the edit section, we can delete cells, we can merge cells, we can merge two or more cells. Here we can edit the notebook's metadata. And in the view section, I can impose numbers in my input cells. Right? And as you can see, for whenever we are coding, we need to insert cells in our notebook. So there are two ways to insert these cells. One way is through this, okay, and the another is using escape and B command. So like this, and another way is this. So there are two ways to insert, right? And guys, just understand one thing. You have worked in any programming language, there is always a role of compiler. You all might know what a compiler does in a programming language. Similarly, you can think kernel to be the compiler for this Python programming language. And as I've mentioned in my previous video, whenever you are working in the Jupyter Notebook, there might be a possibility that you might get stuck somewhere, your code might get stuck, your notebook would just freeze. So in that case, you can just restart and clear the output and everything would be working fine. In this notebook, you can set your custom shortcuts using the help command. So I have set some shortcuts like just to transfer from code to markdown, you can use a shortcut, and similarly from markdown to code, you can also set a shortcut. Fine. So yeah, that was the whole brief summary of this notebook. So let's talk about some data types, right? So first comes numbers. As you all know, we can do simple arithmetic operations, whatever you say. It's pretty simple, guys. And these are standard operations, and I don't think I need to elaborate. They are self-explanatory, right? So yeah, one thing I want to point out is that you don't need to memorize all these functions, right? For example, this type is a function, right? It's used to check the data type of any variable. For example, type false, it says it's a Boolean variable. And if I say it to be true, so yeah, again, it comes out to be a Boolean. So if you don't know a particular function, just put the cursor before the left brace and press shift and tab. So you can see there would be a signature of this function, and if you just click the plus icon, it will tell you all about the function, what it will do, what parameters it will take, and much more. So no need to memorize these functions. You just need to know some basic shortcuts of how you can utilize and work efficiently in this Jupyter Notebook. Docstring will tell us a summary of what this function will do, and I'll tell you another method to read the doc string in the later part of the video. Okay guys, so moving ahead, next comes strings. Okay, so there are two ways to declare a string, with double quotes and single quotes. In C or C++, Java, other programming languages, using single quotes we used to declare characters, right? But here you can also declare strings as well. Again, if I type and my name, it comes out to be a string, right? So next, moving ahead, next comes variable assignment. So this is pretty cool. In C, C++, Java, if you remember correctly, I had to do like 23, right? But here it's not the case. Python interpreter would automatically pick it to be an integer type. If I assign the value 8 to a particular string, it would automatically judge that it's a string. And Python is also capable of performing very complex operations like simple multiplication, divide, right? And these type of operations. Particularly for this fourth input, if you remember, there was something called as BODMAS. Remember? You must have studied in your junior classes. BODMAS stands for brackets of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So moving ahead, there are various ways of printing. One is just the general print function, and again if I press shift and tab, I can see the doc string. Doc string stands for what the functionality of this function would be. Prints the value to a stream or to sys.out by default. Okay, and there is another way of printing, so which I would like to share with you. So we can make use of these curly braces and pass the value of the variable to these braces. But here there is a disadvantage. The order should be consistent. Like the first curly braces would contain the first name and the second braces would contain the last name. Right? So if I execute this cell, I would get the same out. Oh, sorry. So I need to, yeah. Now it would work fine. What if I change this order to the last name and this to F name? So now you can see here the order plays a very crucial role. But to avoid this problem, we can make use of placeholders. So in these curly braces, I just put the value of a placeholder, and using this format function, whenever last is L name and first is F name comes, it will dynamically assign the value to these placeholders. So here ordering does not matter. I can declare it last, I can declare here, it doesn't even matter, right? So there's another function called as length. It will return me the length of the string Kunal. It contains 5 characters. So yeah, it would output me 5. So another thing that I would like to share with you is, whenever you are working on large data science projects, as you all might know, time is a very crucial factor. In order to optimize your code, you will need, your managers would ask, okay, optimize this code for me or do it in lesser time complexity. So, but how would you know that whether your code is taking less time or more time? So I've just written a very simple function, and it can help you in solving some real problems. So I've just imported a module called as time. It contains a function called as time.time, and this is my computation step. And whenever I subtract these two, the total time for this execution will be printed. Okay, so shift and enter and you can execute it, right? So yeah, for example, yes, I was talking about docstring in my in the beginning of this video. So docstring is enclosed in these three quotes, if I can say that. It will tell me what the functionality of this function what the functionality of this function is. Okay, so if I change it to be, let's say, divide, so it returns argument 1 divided. So I was talking about this run command. It's a very good command actually. What does this command actually do is, suppose we have a Python file. Okay, so the first thought that comes to your mind is, okay, I will copy the code from my Python file to the Jupyter notebook and just run it. But what if that Python file contains 100 lines of code? Let me show you a Python file, right? It's basically computing the square of numbers from 1 to 4. So do you really think I would copy this and run it in my Jupyter notebook? If the lines are less, we can do that, but actually that's not a good practice. So what I'll do is, I'll just simply run this command and execute the name of the file. That's my.py, and whatever is there in this file would automatically get output. Okay, so the next important thing is, and this is my favorite, whenever I was working for large data sets, there used to be a time that I had to wait the entire night till the execution of my code was over. And I wish that there was a function that could alert me that, okay, your execution is over, now you can do something else. So I've just created a simple code, and once I execute it, you'll hear a sound like this. So whatever computation you do, just put the last line, that's audio data rate is equals to frame rate autoplay is equals to true at the end of your cell, and whenever the execution of the cell completes, you'll get an alert that, okay, your cell is completed. So trust me, you'll thank me later after using this functionality, and when you're working with larger data sets. So yeah, that's all about this video. Happy learning.